Hi, everybody. How are you doing? I'm Dr. Gail, and thanks for joining us today. And welcome to Galactic Gaia, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Gail. I'm joined by Teri, who is the co-host, and she's here to ground the conversation and anchor the energy. And our guest today is Gail Lynn, an engineer and creator of the Harmonic Egg, an immersive healing chamber. And thanks, everybody. We are simulcasting to three channels today: Galactic Gaia, where Teri holding your space, and Dr. Gail Skywalking with Moon. So we're in three different places today. And thanks for joining us. And we have a pack full of information of things to talk about today. And Gail Lynn's going to have the stage because she came in prepared. So I'm going to go ahead, and Teri will be taking over the chat. And go ahead.
Okay. So, welcome, Gail Lynn. We're so excited you're here again. I did try the Harmonic Egg after our last interview and loved it. Loved it. Gary, hello. How are you doing? We got your question, sir. Sarah Broyles, hello. Barbara, good to see you. Paul, White Dragon, good to see you, sir. And Patricia, hi, Patricia. How's it going? So, welcome, Galactic Team, and everybody else showing up. And people are still coming in. Pengram Bean, hello. Interesting. I love that. Okay.
I've got something to say to Patricia. Patricia, I'm sorry I emailed you accidentally. I was trying to go on a podcast with somebody that night, and I couldn't get on. It was something to do with a business upgrade on Zoom, and I didn't have it, and I had to upgrade. And I was texting my host, going, "I can't get on." I accidentally, her first name is Patricia, and I accidentally emailed that Patricia, going, "I can't get on the Zoom."
Yeah,
I was pretty frantic at that moment.
Yeah, it's hard when you need to get on right away, and technology can be a force.
Yes, but I'm sorry to interrupt you, Teri, but I had to apologize to Patricia.
No, it's all good. So lots of people coming in. Barbara, another Barbara coming in. Three shifting bells. Deb, Sonia, hello, beautiful. Liz, Isan, good to see you. Butterflies are free. Hello. Carl, lots of people coming in. So, Angelic Starseed.
I didn't because I haven't seen her. Have you? Or I'm assuming are her.
Yeah, I haven't seen them either. Yeah. Interesting questions coming in too, everybody. Linda. So, I think we can get to it then. We've got a big group now, so I could be here all day.
Yeah, we've already got 30 people here, so they're all coming in. So, Gail, I'm going to just give the floor to you because you came in more prepared than Teri and I did. So, as usual. And the behind the scenes conversation is always good, and it's always easy just to bring that forward to the chat. So, Gail, you have an interesting thing or interesting take to go, and a personal thing that you wanted to talk about. So I'm going to let you go ahead and begin.
Yeah, these are my notes. But I mean, we talked about last month. We had a great conversation, and we kind of ended with talking about all the prescription meds and supplements that people are on, and our bodies can heal naturally. And, the thing that blocks us from healing is the interference. So we're always interfering with our own healing. And so I wanted to have a conversation with so much love that, we talk about how prescription meds and supplements can actually be harmful, and that can numb your nervous system. And one of the biggest things for healing is making sure that your nervous system is in balance. When your autonomic nervous system is in balance, everything just can work. And we're magical beings from God, from source, from Jah, from the universe, whatever word you use. And one of the things that sound and light therapy that I'm finding that it does is it helps to reboot the nervous system. Not all sound and light therapies are created equal, but neither are our bodies. So we're Arcturian, we're Sirian, we're Palladian, we're Andromedan, we're human, we're all these different things. And so, I've had my whole life experience is around medical error. when I was 12 or 14 years old, my dad's mother had a hernia surgery. They paralyzed her from the waist down. Oops, sorry, and she had to go into a nursing home, and she was on Medicaid. And my dad came from a poor, it sounds like a fiction story, came from a poor home, and he got kicked out of the poor housing. I mean, like, he lived in Herman Gardens in the Detroit area, and they got kicked out of there. So he always says, we were so poor I couldn't pay attention. So he would always make jokes about it. But his mom got paralyzed. Then my grandma, when I was probably in my 20s, she was diabetic. She went into a nursing home. They forgot to give her meds. Oop, she's dead. I'm sorry, And then, my dad, he worked in an asbestos plant for 30 years. We grew up in an asbestos tiled home. My whole life I was around asbestos. My dad would come home, and this was before, the factory workers didn't know they should take their uniform off, their shoes off, leave it outside, because you're bringing that asbestos dust into the home and for your children. And so he was diagnosed with COPD, which, I mean, anybody in their right mind would know he had mesothelioma, but they wouldn't test him for that. It was Union, it was Detroit, they didn't want him to sue. My dad and my mom were not people who were litigious. They didn't sue anybody. And I told them, I said, ask for a meso test. And they refused. So they put him on COPD inhalers, and then he kept getting worse. And he was on anxiety pills and pain pills. The quality of life was awful. And I believe that was a medical error. They misdiagnosed him, or they didn't want to diagnose him for whatever reason. And then my dad passed away in September of 2017. 11 weeks later, here comes my mom. She ends up with a brain aneurysm, and she dies in December of 2017. Now, she's on a migraine pill. Now, my mom believed that she had migraines, but she would call me up and say, oh, I just had some pizza, having a migraine. Okay, if the people out there who know migraines, you're not eating, you're not talking, you're not, you're laying down, you're down for the count. And I had migraines for 23, 27 years, and I don't get them anymore after using sound and light therapy. And there's a lot of reasons people get migraines, and it's a huge controversial thing out there. So my mom's taking these migraine pills that she's supposed to take, 15 a month. The doctor's giving her 30 a month. Every time she has a slight headache, she's taking this migraine pill. It expands and contracts the blood vessels in the brain. What happens to a rubber band when you pull it so many times? It snaps. So I believe that the doctors were overprescribing her, medical errors. So I believe 4 family members of mine were medical errors. There's no death certificate that says, oh, the doctor gave the wrong prescription, or the nurse was so tired that she there was an error, that she made a mistake, gave the wrong meds. There's no death certificate code that says there was a miscommunication when the nurses left their shift and they gave the wrong information to the next staff coming on board. And so I just wanted to bring some light to this. And, even though Johns Hopkins says that, there's, 500,000 medical error deaths, I think it's closer to 1 million, because there's not a code for these errors.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you there a little bit, because coming from the hospital scene, we do address errors. We do address. Now, it might be that when we were filling out an incident report, it doesn't allow us to put exactly sometimes what it is, but we all know and we all talk about it, and a lot of people get fired over it.
Yeah. And it's sad. I mean, there's just not on the death certificate, it's going to say that. But yes, they know they're making these errors. I think when my mom had her surgery, I called the hospital as soon as she was going to the hospital. And I said, listen, she's got a goiter on her thyroid. She's on thyroid meds. She's on migraine pills. And she's a 70-year-old woman. And so instead of, maybe them checking her heart first or something else first, they were able to go right to the brain, and they got her into surgery. She had squeezed my brother's finger before the surgery, but after the surgery, she was brain dead. So, who knows if that was going to happen no matter what. But I don't think she needed to be there in the first place. And yes, I know. And think about all the people who make this mistake, and then they have to live with it because they're exhausted and they're not hydrated and they're not taking care of themselves. And I just feel like we can prevent this. So one of my center owners in North Carolina is doing a study on nurse burnout. And we're trying to do a grassroots funding of this because we've reached out to the hospital. They don't want to help. We've reached out to getting some grants. So for 2 years, we've been trying to get this going.
Where in North Carolina?
Winston-Salem.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she is a medical professional, and she's got some medical professionals that are doing this because we want to bring some light to this. We don't think that this has to be this big of a deal. The third leading cause of death is medical error. It doesn't have to be. We need to take care of our first responders. We need to start bringing light to this, but we also need to start taking care of our bodies and listening to our bodies. So my boyfriend, he's crazy. He's 73, 74. I can't remember now how old he is. And he was born in 52. And so he's on all these different meds. He had a pacemaker and some stents put in after his wife passed away. And he went to the doctor last year and said, like, my blood pressure meds aren't working anymore. The doctor puts him on different meds. His legs swell up. He's constipated. He can't sleep. He's cranky as all get out. And I was like, dude, you have to do something about this. He's like, well, I talked to the doctor. He said, give it time. I'm like, how much time do you need to have your legs look like balloons that look like tree trunks? You have no ankles. Your toes are all blown up. You're constipated. You're taking Dulcolax and your stool softeners. And so 7 months, the doctor made him suffer. He kept asking. Finally, he got tired of it. And he said, that's it. Put me on something else. And the doctor said, why are you taking gout medicine? He's like, I don't know. Some doctor gave it to me. He's like, why are you taking this pill? He goes, I don't know. Some doctor gave it to me. We have to start taking responsibility for our health, asking the questions. These medicines are depleting minerals from our body. There's blood pressure meds depleting CoQ10. Guess what we need to regulate our blood pressure? CoQ10.
I think you've got the nail on the head, is we need to take responsibility of going from doctor to doctor, knowing what we're being put on, and that we need to maybe go talk to the pharmacist, sit down and make an appointment with the pharmacist and see what each one's doing to you, because the doctors are generally not looking or not knowing what's being prescribed or what other means are happening, this doctor going to this doctor. So, but the pharmacist knows all about the medications. And so it would be wise, because they do sit down and do consults with people. So it would be wise for people to sit down and do that and see how if they're on a lot of medication, to sit down and see how it's affecting you. And also Nancy Jean talks about all the time. Teri, what is that lab work that she gets done that tells how you respond to the medication, and how Medicare pays for it, and it gives you a whole personal look at how your body responds to certain medications. And so you can give that to your doctor, and there's some things that are good for you or not good for this person, which is we probably all need to do that.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but she had a friend that's a doctor, and it's not widely known that we can do that, but I'll look it up and try to get it by the end of the show.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Bring light to this. And like my boyfriend, it's his fault. He ended up going off the meds. The leg swelling went down, the constipation went away, and he started sleeping great. He's got more energy and he's feeling great. I don't think people put 2 and 2 together and go, I went on that new med. Now my legs hurt and I'm constipated. Exactly. They don't put 2 and 2 together. And because I think it's depleting. There's a book called Drug Muggers that I love, but you can now look up on the internet, hey, what is this specific drug depleting from my body? It could be magnesium. It could be zinc. It could be CoQ10. It could be anything. And that's going to create another side effect. And a lot of times these doctors don't know this. So they're like, oh, well, now you're not sleeping. Here's a sleeping pill. And then that's going to deplete something else. And so when I worked for the doctor's office when I was 17, I watched this happen. Mm-hmm. And it was so crazy. They had this diet plan, and they would put all these older ladies on diet pills, which was actually speed. And my boyfriend's grandma was on this diet plan.
On speed. Everybody was on speed during that time.
The little red pills. And I was like, it was like $160 a month. And I said to the doctor, I said, I'm looking at her chart. She's been, coming to see you for 20 years and she's heavier than when she started. He says, yeah, well, she just says, Gail, or he says, doctor, that makes me feel so good. And I can get all my housework done. I'm like, she's on speed. Like, it's crazy. So I got fired from that job.
I was going to say your boyfriend definitely needs to have that test done since he's on the medication. But you do have to go in and ask for it. It's not a volunteer that, and I don't even know if all the doctors know if it's readily available. It's almost like you need to go in and educate them. This is available. This tells what my body responds to. And some of these meds might not even be working for him like it's supposed to work for other people.
Right. I mean, so much stuff's coming in the chat, and I can't watch it all. So I know Teri's watching it for us.
Yeah, Teri's watching the chat. Yeah.
But I mean, I just, hydration, sounding like therapy. We're vibrational beings of light from source, from God. And a lot of times I saw something about dementia, and I read a few things about dementia, and that over years of not hydrating your body, your brain can chronically shrink. And there's not a whole lot you can do when 40 years later you haven't hydrated your body, which what is in your book, Gail? Water bubbles, water. What are they?
Oh, humans are a bag of water.
Bag of water, right? So we need water. And I love that. I said, we are a bag of water. So
I didn't know if I should have taken offense to that at first. They said that to me, that humans are, and this is extraterrestrials talking to me. They say they look at humans as a bag of water is what she's talking about. And as I said, when they first said that to me, I just didn't know if I should be offended. And then I sat there for a few minutes and I went, well, they're right.
Come on.
Yeah, because so many of the extraterrestrials are so thin and they do not contain as much water as we do.
Yeah.
Well, they probably, their diet's different, right? Obviously, but do they eat?
Yeah, they do. Some eat, some don't. It just depends. But I was going to ask, that's one of the questions I wanted to bring up here today in the chat was, before we even do any kind of therapies, would it benefit our bodies to go on some kind of dietary cleansing and so that was my question. And if so, what would be the best cleansing methods? And I was hoping people in the chat might chime in and give their experiences on cleansing methods and what things they have done. But I would think a lot of that would be helpful to do a cleansing before doing a lot of modalities. Oh, and Gail, I want to get your take on it, and yours too, Teri.
I definitely have an opinion about that. And, I've had doctors over the years tell me, you should go get your medical degree. I don't want to be on the radar screen. I don't want to be, listed, medical, but I educate people. And it's a lot of it's trial and error. And I did the O blood type diet after I found out I was an O blood type. And that really restructured my body. There's something about that blood type diet that seems to be, they're onto something. It's your blood in your, like the O blood people have a lot of acid in their stomach. So they need to eat meat because something needs to get that acid absorbed and use that acid. But then there's people who should be vegetarian. And then there's people who are vegetarian who are O blood types and then they feel terrible. So there's a lot to that. I think letting your food be your medicine is brilliant. I personally don't believe in fast. I think our body needs energy. It's like letting your car run out of gas, in my opinion. But some bodies do great with fasting. So I've never really fasted. My detoxing is usually, it should be very gentle. It shouldn't be a healing crisis. You shouldn't be throwing up and having diarrhea because you're detoxing. Right. You got this, So I say I have a liver webinar that I did because our liver is such a large organ. So it's basically electrolytes, water, red apples, and oxygen. So the liver needs very little, but those are a lot of things that you can do for the liver to make your liver healthy. The other thing is we have these emotions. So do we detox physically or do we detox emotionally? Because if we're holding on to a bunch of anger, your liver is never going to heal. If you're holding on to a bunch of fear, your kidneys aren't going to heal. If you're holding on to a bunch of grief, your lungs aren't going to heal. So even though I think, my dad had mesothelioma, not COPD, I saw him cry once in my whole life. He held on to all that grief in his lungs, and that's where it hit him. And there's guys that worked in those asbestos plants for 30 years and didn't die of mesothelioma, but that's the organ that was weak for him. And so we have to look at our emotions as well. We have to reset our nervous system. Everything can't make you angry. Otherwise, we have a fatty liver epidemic right now. Is it because people are just angry? Or was it the keto diet because people were eating all these fats? And these are things that are coming up when people say, I never had a drink in my life of alcohol, and now I have cirrhosis. Where did that come from?
Right.
So
that's for medication too. But Teri, there's a lot of things coming up in the chat about what people are doing. Are you?
Yeah, I am. I'm charting those. Also, we were talking backstage before we came on, and Gail Lynn, we were talking about intention as
Right.
well, and changing our story. So, so holding on to that grief. There's lots of different ways that we can do that, aren't there?
And here's a story too. I had a friend of mine who has a 6-year-old granddaughter, and she's like, my granddaughter's not doing well. And the first thing that I picked up is she's picking up all of her mother's stuff. And she's like, oh my gosh, my daughter is a hot mess. My daughter never stops. My daughter never pays attention to her daughter. My daughter just goes and goes and goes and goes. And I said, I think your granddaughter's picking that up. So we did a remote session for her granddaughter. And it was really interesting because I so strongly picked up that it was all of her daughter's stuff. I said, can you please talk to your daughter about how she might be affecting her daughter? And she said yes. And her daughter was very receptive to it. Didn't really think how much she was really affecting her daughter. And so we set the intention and yada, yada, yada. Well, the granddaughter's doing great. But the intention, I said to my friend, I said, I don't think it was really the egg session. It was the intention. And then you talk to your daughter. Now your daughter's spending time with her. She's coming home from work early. She's reading to her before she goes to bed. And she's doing great. Is the intention and how we said, oh my gosh, we brought awareness to something. And where your awareness goes, energy flows. We got the energy flowing between them. So intention is such an important part. And so my horse just got an eye infection. I don't even know what it was from. His left eye. So receiving side. I feel like she maybe picked up a lot of stuff that I didn't have to deal with. So she's processing it. She's working through it for me. Our animals will do that. Our children will do that because they only know love. And so if you have a sick animal, look at where you are stuck in what is going on with your animal. My dog that I had when I was in my 20s and early 30s ended up with a tumor on his liver. And I was angry. I was such an angry person. And I feel like he absorbed a lot of that stuff for me. And he passed away at age 13, almost 14. And I feel guilty about it, but that's what they do. They only know love and they're going to help you. So you got to help yourself so that they don't have to take on all your crap.
Well, before I forget, Gail,
Yeah.
your horse has a message for you.
Yes.
And I'm afraid I won't forget it. She wants you to start meditating with her. She doesn't necessarily want you to.
Can you hear her?
Did you go out and do anything? We all just went out.
Okay, so Gail, you locked up. You said she doesn't necessarily want you.
She doesn't necessarily want you to go out and exercise or do whatever you used to do. Maybe a gentle walk, but she wants you to meditate with her. She wants you to lay down with her and just be and meditate.
That's hard for me. I can do it though. I will do anything for her. She's such a special little galactic being. Okay, so I'm going to just write this down because by the time we're done, I'll forget because I'm going to go on to different topics. Meditate with.
Yeah, I was afraid I was going to forget it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's showing me your head on her neck.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, she's been so great. I mean, I've been poking in her eye and putting the cream and the gels, and she stands there and she's like, all right, are we done yet? And I told her, I said, I don't even know how you trust me so much. I don't even know. I'm just so grateful that she doesn't give me a hard time when I'm trying to, help her eye, but it's the left side. And, I feel like I was ignoring her a bit because I have 2 barn cats that were having a hard time acclimating to the new place. We've been here for 4 months now. And so I've been really just spending time with her, being with her. Gail, I was reading your book to her. As you know, I was out there reading and I was like, her dog's name was Moon, and Moon's now helping her. And Holly's like, whatever. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, I love her. I can definitely do that with her. And I was talking to my vet too, who was Holly's vet. And I told her, I said, vets have such a hard time because their patients don't talk to them. And she's like, oh, Gail. She's like, they talk to us better than any human being can talk, because humans are going to mask their emotions. They're going to go, oh no, I can deal with this pain. Oh, that's not a problem. She said, animals won't. They don't, they will.
Cats did though. I thought they had it.
I don't know. She said all of her pets, or her patients, I should say, which are somebody's pet, have always been able to talk to her. And she said, I remember being at the barn one time, she was floating Holly's teeth, which they get little, like hard, like pieces on them that could cut their gums and stuff. So you got to have their teeth cut, like sanded down. And this cat just jumped up on her table that she had all her equipment on, and it just needed an adjustment. And she's like, oh, your neck hurts? Okay. And the cat jumped down. I'm like, what just happened?
Wow.
They just knew.
Yeah.
So anyway, we went off the subject of what you were talking about, but I knew I had to say because I was going to forget it.
Yeah. I don't even remember what we were talking about, but you know what? Let's keep going. So let's even talk about supplements. Everything has energy. Go ahead.
Well, also some people were putting in, I had asked them to put in what they did for detoxing.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to make sure we did.
Yeah. Judith says she's better now. She's eating fatty meat, which she wouldn't have done before menopause. Patricia says, I have a cleanse with alfalfa tabs. I take daily to liver supplement and herbal product that can clean out the digestive system.
Patricia does everything.
Yeah. Let's see. Pengrombine says, I'm a type O and eat keto, but want a vegan diet. Okay. And lots of people are coming in saying things. Jack's had some interesting ways that she's working on. She says, I soak my feet. Oh, it's Patricia. She says, I started soaking my feet in lavender, Epsom salt, and apple cider vinegar before bed. I can feel stuff being pulled out of my body into water. Oh, and helps her sleep better. I'm going to write that down. I love that.
I used to do that a long time ago, and used to do the foot bath thing. So, Gail, how do you feel about the foot bath?
So I think that some of the foot baths on the market are giving false information, but there's something to things being pulled out of your feet, your hands, your pores, and coming out through the body.
There you go. Nancy Jean's here.
Oh, thanks. It's far. Okay, and that's a different information than I got. So thank you, Nancy Jean. Pharmagen. Okay. The test runs all your drugs and your DNA. Yeah.
Write that down, Gail, so you can tell your boyfriend.
Yeah, Phamgen. Okay, I'll look it up.
It's running it against your DNA is what she's saying.
I love that. And that's what we need. We all need to, we're all different galactic beings. And even supplements have an energy. I use a lot of dowsing or pendulum work, and I'll test supplements and I'll test different things. And I have others that I'll run it past because I don't want to just say, I'm biased and this is my test. But I'll ask some of my friends, hey, can you test this? And they'll say, you know what, this company doesn't have good integrity. So the product's not going to work if you have a high vibration and you're in love and gratitude, because their company energy is not. So it's really interesting. And then there's a lot of fillers and things that just toxify the liver and the kidneys, and they end up not doing anything for you. And all you're really doing is peeing out a lot of money.
Yes. So, okay. So then, because of all this information, false information, how are people to know if it's good or not? I mean, there's some muscle testing and things
Yeah.
like that we can do. Is that what you're going to go with? I mean, because
I
I use
I
pendulums.
Yeah, I went to was Kroger, but King Super here in Colorado, and my horse's vet said, "I don't think it's allergic reaction." I said, "You know what? I really think I need to get some Benadryl cream because her eyelid is swollen." And she's like, "I don't think that's what it is." Well, it actually did help. But I went to the store and I started muscle checking. You know, is this going to help the swelling in Holly's eyelid? And Benadryl cream actually was the only one that tested yes. There was bug bite stuff, there was Sudafed stuff, and I wanted something topically, not orally. And I just started muscle checking.
Yeah. Can you demonstrate?
Yeah. So basically, what you want to do is you want to stand with your knees soft, hip width apart, and you put something next to your solar plexus chakra. So kind of in the middle of your chest near your heart, and ask the question. And you have to realize that sometimes you're going to get a yes, and sometimes you're going to tilt sideways. So a yes would be you tilt forward, a no would be you tilt backwards. Sometimes when you don't ask the proper question or they need more information, it's a sideways thing. So if you put a chocolate bar in front of your chest and you really want it, you may test yes. So be careful to say, is this going to be healthy? Is this going to serve my highest and best interest? There's a lot of questions. If you're trying to test something emotional, like, should I be with this guy who's abusive and I love him? And you might get a yes. Emotional stuff is hard to test on yourself. So you want to be really careful and you want to ask the questions. I was taking a probiotic one time and it said, yes, you need a probiotic. Yes, you need this probiotic. No, this probiotic's not going to absorb in your body. Oh, okay, wait, I need this. And this is the product, but it's not going to absorb in my body. I don't get that. So I had to ask a lot more questions. What happened was I needed to take it out of the capsule, put it in water, because the capsule wasn't going to dissolve at the time my body needed that probiotic to dissolve. So everybody's body is different, and I am an O blood type, so it was probably going to get killed in the stomach acid and all those little good bacteria that would have never gotten to my colon because they would have got killed in the stomach acid. So this was a flora store, and it was freeze dried 3 times, so it was made to survive the stomach acid of an O blood type. So really interesting things, but you have to ask all the questions. Right. Is it the highest and best? Is it going to absorb? Is this is it going to harm me? Is it going to benefit me? Asking all the questions and not just a yes or a no.
Right. Well, for me, I can't ask any question that's emotional based because I will not get the correct answer, because I am biased, and I use a pendulum. Patricia's in here talking about she uses a pendulum. Teri uses a pendulum. And I asked Teri the other day, how many pendulums do you have? Would you say about 50?
Yeah, a lot.
And so I carry a pendulum in my purse. I have a pendulum in my car. I carry it with me all the time too. I have them all over the place. Not 50 of them though.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
One. And I mean, the Egyptians used to have, I think, like a limestone pendulum, and they were buried with their pendulum because there was part of them. So I have one. It's made out of wood. Because my teacher told me that wood doesn't hold information and energy. So getting a wood one is going to be the most accurate because sometimes a crystal will hold information and energy. So if you don't clear it properly, it might be picking up information from your last question.
Right. I've heard wood and metal.
Like brass or copper. Yeah.
For me, I don't have any problems using anything. I could use a pin tied to a string. And
yeah, you can pick up any necklace and it'll start going and telling you what's what.
But we use our pendulums a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe that might have a part to do with it because even here on the chat, me verifying my answers that I'm hearing, I'm always using the pendulum. But as I said, I cannot use it on anything that's emotional, like, is this chocolate good for me? Oh, well, of course I want that chocolate, and I'm going to eat it no matter what. And I'm going to make that pendulum go, that's
intention. Yeah, intention.
I love your audience. Like, I wish I could be on for like 6 hours because we could have some amazing conversations because they're very intelligent. They're like getting this.
Right. Yeah, they're amazing.
Your pendulum, Patricia, you sit on selenite to clear
Yeah.
it. I don't do you do any clear? I don't do any clearing with mine.
You can do selenite, or you can do like a sea salt water bath and just clear crystals. And there's sometimes some people have told me like rose quartz. I had a rose quartz and they said this needs to go back into the ground, like it's depleted. And I never heard that before. They said it doesn't have any energy anymore. It's done.
Mine always break when it tells
Yep.
it's time to retire. Mine will break. In fact,
Yeah.
I have pendulums up break when it's time to retire. And I'll ask the pendulum, do you want to be fixed or are you done? And
Yeah.
most of the time, I only have one that said it wanted to be repaired.
Yeah, everybody's talking about.
Yeah, you can put them out in the full moon too. That's another way.
Yeah. We're way off topic here.
Oh yeah, well, that's what this is so fun. That's why it's so fun. And I try to buy the crystals in their natural form instead of, I used to buy like egg-shaped crystals and heart-shaped crystals. That's not their natural expression.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be an octagon, or some of them are supposed to be a triangle or something. So I've been trying to buy them in their natural form.
Yeah, we use, both Teri and I use a lot of crystals, especially during our Solaris Healing Center for our healings. We use, because that's part of the energy from the stone and also the color of the stone that we are also using. It's the vibration, the color, and the energy from the stone. We use a lot of stones for healings on our show.
Yeah, so I'll tell another story.
We don't have the advantage of having an egg around us.
Right. I'm in the egg at least once a week. I love it. It feels like it has taken the story away from me. We'll go back to the story. So, the story of, Gail was molested by the priest when she was 14. That's just a story. Gail's dad was an alcoholic. That's just a story. Well, I had this story about the university coming out and screwing up my horse when her eye, the tissue was all swollen, but it wasn't hanging out of her eye. It was an emergency. I called the university and they came out, and by the time they left and they picked and prodded and sedated her and gave her shots in her eye, like the tissue was hanging out of her eye and she couldn't even close her eye. And I thought, so I was telling you guys before the show, I kept that story for the last 12 days. Oh, they screwed her up. And my friend, she's like, lose the story. I was like, oh my gosh, right? Like we forget, we just hold on to these stories. So Gail, you and I were talking about the car accident that I was in 10 years ago.
Oh, yes.
On my neck. And I didn't put two and two together. Left neck, right hip. And one day I was sitting there going, that's exactly where the seatbelt constricted me in the accident. And you said you see a lot of people around the 10-year mark.
In chiropractic, it was so typical. Somebody could be in a car accident or some kind of accident that all of a sudden the problems from that accident show up 10 years later. It's almost like the body can't handle it anymore. It just gives up. It's been trying to just taking care of that injury, and 10 years later, here you are in trouble, needing some help.
I just saw, I'm in the Boulder, Colorado area, and so somebody just brought up Mork from Mork, Robin Williams with the Nanu. Yes, and that's why we made the egg white, because we did think about Mork. And so this trauma hit me again, left neck, right hip, and I was like, we're the seatbelt. Oh my gosh! So now I've been working with blue agate and black tourmaline for the neck and the hip, and then I know it's goofy, and my boyfriend's like, what do you have safety pinned to your seatbelt? So I have the blue agate here, I have a rose quartz here that crosses the heart, and then I've got the black tourmaline. And he's like, that's cute. I'm like, it's not going to hurt me. It can only help.
I love it.
I'm just looking at some of the chat. It's so fun. So no, I love this conversation because I just want to bring light to us listening to our bodies.
Right.
What is it that you need? And you are your own best doctor. And we should be going to our doctors and saying, listen, this is what I'm thinking that this is. How can you support me and be on my team and do that and help me with this? Not just shoving something down your throat and saying, just take this, and we don't question it, and they don't want to be questioned. Just do that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, Nancy Jean has been empowered by having those test results that she takes to every doctor and says, here, when they wanted to prescribe her something, I can't take that. That does not work for my body. So
I love
it's a big empowerment tool that she has received. And as I said, she says, you have to ask for it, but Medicare does pay for it. Now, I think you might, she lives in Dallas, so she has access to all sorts of medical facilities. So I'm not sure if all labs provide that. That would be a big question, if all labs do those kind of tests, because I'm sure it has to be sent out somewhere.
Yeah, special testing. No, I love that. And so if nobody gets anything out of this podcast but that, how empowering is that? How inspiring is that we can actually find out what our body can handle in our DNA? And then when the emergency is over, we need to figure out, why did our blood pressure go high? Was it just dehydration? Why do I have a pain here? Why do I have the stomach issue here? What am I worried about? Looking at the reason why, so that we can get off these meds. I don't think that they were ever meant to be on for life. You go on them and you're on them for life. It should be just after the emergency is over, then you start figuring out, what is my body trying to tell me?
Right. Yeah. And doctors don't back down on the medicine after whatever's happened, as you're saying, that they continue. And, oh, you had this problem, well, you're going to continue for the rest of your life, because we don't want that to happen again, instead of, let's see how you do without it. That's not in their vocabulary.
Yeah. Just like my boyfriend, he's like, why are you on gout medicine? He's like, I don't know. He's like, have you ever had gout? He goes, no. I was like, well, I don't know why he's on it either.
Are there other things for that medicine for him to be using it other than gout?
The story that he told is, I think this is the story, because I kind of drilled him. I said, what? He goes, my friend Kurt had gout, and he said it hurt really bad. So I think I asked the doctor to put me on gout medicine, so I didn't get it. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, I know, right? You just got to laugh.
Okay. All right. Anything else about that, Gail? Because I have a major question that I was telling Teri about, a philosophical kind of question.
Shoot.
Okay. This is about dementia. Now, I dealt with my dad, who had dementia for 8 years. I had to work with him. And then recently my dog has been diagnosed with dementia, which was just Saturday was a horrible time with her to have her at the vet, and she has dementia. Years ago, when I worked in the operating room, and it was when I was in heart surgery, we all had this conversation of, when you get older, usually it's either your body goes or your mind goes. It's usually not both. And it was nurses, techs, doctors, anesthesia. We were all in there. And the discussion was, which would you rather do? Would you rather have your mind go, or would you have your body go? When your mind goes, you don't know what's going on with your body, because your mind's going. But some people go through fear, and some people are okay when their mind goes. And then when you're going physical, you realize how you're not able to get around physically. So that was a big discussion we all had, and it was amazing how everybody's take on it. And this brought all this up because of my Saturday night with her. I thought she was having a panic attack because she didn't know where she was. And it was an hour before I could calm her down. And as I said, I spent 8 years with my dad. I have never had an animal that actually went with dementia instead of the physical part. It's always been the physical. So that question, I think, is something for people to think about. The physicality or the mental part of it. Anyway, I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, I like these kind of questions, but I would say neither. I don't, I want to take care of my body so much so that I can, when I'm ready to go, I'll be like, today I'm going to just lay down, and then I'm going to close my eyes and I'm not going to wake up. And I've lived a healthy life without prescription meds, and everything's healthy and lovely. But that's an interesting question.
What's the realistic though? Even when you're if you live to 120, you're still going to be facing something.
Exactly. So how do we really know that the people that have dementia don't know what their body's going through? Do we know that? And I never heard of a dog having it, or an animal. That's so sad and crazy.
Yeah, it's the first, but no, see most people who I mean, there's some fading in and out, and everybody having this issue or that issue, but it's very common for somebody who's going through dementia to be perfectly physically fine, to be able to walk around and do everything, and it's just their mind that's hindering them. The other side is it's not uncommon for somebody to have some physical disabilities attack. And so what our discussion was, as you age, which way would you want to go? Because it does seem like it is one or the other. Now, as I said, there's some layovers and laps and things like that, but it's just so common for us as we were discussing that to see that because we're on the medical field and as a room full of medical people having this discussion, which way you want to go. And, the heart doctor was going, well, I want to keep my mind because I don't want to have the fear of dementia. And then another person says, well, I want my mind to go because I don't want to remember my body going. So there's some good arguments for both sides. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting since I just recently dealt with that. It brought all of those memories up that we had that kind of discussion. All these, medical people in this one room having this discussion on which way you would want to go.
Well, I wouldn't know what your answer was, but I think I'd rather keep my mind.
There's a Vedic way of walking out of your body through breath work and meditation and whatnot. And it's, ascended masters or whatnot that are here would use it. And it's called Mahasamadhi. And it's said that if you walk out in this way with consciously, that the next time you walk into a body, you're awakened, like you don't have that veil there.
Again. Say that one more time.
Mahasamadhi.
Well, not that. The rest is.
That was hard to say. I had to look it up again. I can never pronounce that. You don't. It's like you're walking out of it, and you can look it up.
You're walking out of your body. When you walk out of your body.
Yeah, you or lay down and you walk out of your body, right? You float out of your body, but you do it through breath work and meditation, and you consciously do that. And they've shown me a vision of me doing that.
Okay, so you're alive, physically aware, or mentally aware, and you do this technique of walking out of your body. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Now you got me. And I go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's fascinating, but it's also, I think, something that is in our will base as we grow, as we ascend. And probably in the next 10 to 20 years, we're going to hear more and more about it, but it's ancient.
Right. Yeah. So Lady Carolina, I'm going to butcher your name. She's saying, is it the same thing as astral projection? Because
no,
body all the time. It's not the same. Okay.
No, completely different. You're letting your body go. And but it's interesting because oftentimes if you're in the East, you will see preserved bodies of masters.
Okay. So
in the monasteries.
So then if you're walking about, are you talking about that's a death of walking out of your body?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a death. Okay. So
yeah.
I found that interesting because I remember way back when I was doing a shamanic journey and I was asking why we were so gluttonous at holidays and things like that. And he remembered me talking about that. And when I walked in, they showed me all these bodies, dead bodies in the skies that look like black bodies just floating up in the sky. And they were telling me those were all the different addictions that we all had. So some of them were drug addictions and some were, alcohol addictions, and it was all these different addictions. And what they were saying was to me, because this is my personal journey. Why did I eat so much at Thanksgiving? Why did I eat so, we kept eating for a week like that. And they were basically saying your addiction is just nothing compared to what all this is. So I feel like that's kind of that part of the demise all those people had demise from their actual addictions. So the question there is, when you do walk out of your body, like you're talking about, is there some kind of repair that you do before you go back into your body, or do you go back into that body?
No, you would reincarnate into another body.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I didn't make that clear, but yeah. And yeah, Lady K, it is an ascension. It is consciously. So obviously the conscious mind, you're completely present to your astral body and your universal body or your light body, you
And
might
she's
call
saying it's because there's no tether. That's right. And somebody asked if you would write that name in the chat.
it. Yes, let me look it up again so I give you the correct. I can never remember the name of this, and so that's a story there, I'm sure. But yeah, I'll write it in there for you.
Well,
So,
I just think there's so many different ways that we can take care of our bodies. And we have to just take responsibility for them. And I mean, I'm doing meditation. I started to do some Tai Chi. I do yoga 10 minutes a day, or 10 minutes 3 times a day. Because
you've told me that before. That is some discipline. 10 minutes.
It has to be. I mean, it has to be because I just can't give an hour. I'm running an international business with, over 150 locations, and I've got a horse and a boyfriend and a house, and I do still take my own trash out and grocery shop and all that. We have to find some balance, but I have to get that yoga in because otherwise I feel off base, off balance, and I want to keep in balance. I want to stay present. I want to be more present with my horse, which I think that's going to be fun to go out there and meditate with her.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can't do it all. And we're in this place. Well, I don't want it to be a task on the task list, because I want my nervous system to feel safe and supported. And when I just stop and I do that yoga for 10 minutes, it changes everything about the day. It's so brilliant. I do it in the morning, the afternoon, and then the evening. I have a morning yoga, night yoga. I started to do the Tai Chi. The poses are hard. I mean, it's been probably like 35 days now, 40 days. And I'm just now feeling like it's a little bit of muscle memory with some of these poses. But parting the wild horse's mane and the white crane. And it's like, oh my gosh, these poses are difficult.
Well, I have a hats off to you and Teri. Both of y'all do yoga. And personally, I can't stand it.
Well, you're Arcturian. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, there you go.
I need to be active. I need to be swimming, riding a bike, or weightlifting, or I've got yoga. No.
Well, come clear with everybody and tell them about your triathlete career.
Yeah. Well, I did triathlons for over 10 years. Wow. So yeah, that's kind of my background, but still, even then, my sister's the same way. Both of us have tried to take yoga classes, and we're just like, oh God, get me out of here, So, but I know most people do love it, and I don't know what it is that I don't like. Thank goodness my sister's the same way, that she doesn't like it, so I don't feel so bad when we both talk about it. How we don't like that kind of. Maybe it's the discipline that we don't like.
I mean, I'm not flexible. I can't do most of the poses, and I don't beat myself up. I do what I can. And then I started doing some crafts. When I was a kid, I used to do the rug looping kits. I think it's called rug latching now.
Right.
And it's like a meditation, the loop and pull and loop and pull and loop and pull. And it's just like a meditation. So we have to find these things that we incorporate into our day every single day to keep balance, to stay grounded, because we really are so stressed out. There's so many things going on in the world, and the energies that, we could easily just get sick because we're not grounding and doing things to stay in balance.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah.
So this has been a great conversation.
It's fun. It's so fun. I just love no agenda. Let's see what the audience is talking about. I know we didn't get to all the questions, and it just was a lot going on right there.
Well, they're all talking about. Patricia's even asking me, what about just do those poses instead of a whole regiment? Ugh, Patricia, you don't.
So there's a lady. Her name's Yoga with Joelle, Joelle. She's free. And so what I do is I go and I'll like, okay, what's a morning yoga routine I want to do? And they're 10 minutes. Or I'll say, you know what, my outside hip, I think my IT band is a little bit, tight from sitting all day. And so I'll just say IT band, and she'll give you a 10-minute IT band. So you can tune into your body and just go yoga for shoulders today, yoga for neck today. And it's empowering. It's so lovely to just like support your body with what it's asking for.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm very impressed with the two of you and your yoga routines. Have at
I love it.
it.
That's great. That's great. That's why I said we're all different galactic beings.
Yeah.
Yes. See, I mean, I will stretch after I do something active, stretching and things like that. But yoga, no. It's just not my thing. Never has been. And thank goodness I have a sister who's just like that.
Yeah, I don't think my sister likes yoga either. My brother doesn't work out at all. He works in the factory. So he's on his little bicycle, on the plant, and he does his own exercises and stuff that way.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, we're just coming up here to an hour. Anything last minute things you need to say? We didn't hardly get to talk to everybody in the chat, but hopefully we can do this again.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, just whenever you want to have just a spitfire conversation, just hit me up and I'll make some time for it.
Sweet. That sounds great.
All right. Well, thanks, Gail, for being here, and thanks, Teri, for being here also. And when's your next show? Teri, you're always busy. When's your next show?
Oh, well, I have a workshop today in Kansas City, active breath work and meditation and sound bath. And then tomorrow I will be on with Kevin Lewis, and we'll be doing energy readings, mediumship channeled readings. So yeah, come on by.
Yeah, my next one will be a Monday night with Hayden Crawford. He'll be on, and we'll be reading. This will be a full card. This will be a fun show because of his new cards. We're going to be reading from his new cards that he has, and so that's going to be exciting. So everybody come join us for something fun when y'all can each ask for a card and we can do a reading on it. So that's just going to be fun. That'll be fun. Always just fun.
That's how I found you, Gail, through Hayden Crawford.
He's amazing. Love him.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks, moderators, for taking care of the chat today, especially. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you later. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.